Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. And by the way, I'm thrilled to be back in the United States after my 2+ weeks of traveling. And I want to give a big thank you and so much love from my heart to Philip SYKES, who is the star of our show, and to Leanne Milton and to the British School of Excellence. I was able to attend the London experience and I have this beautiful certificate. It was quite an event for the entire week, and I highly recommend that you get involved and join us next year. Philip will be talking more about that. So let's welcome Philip SYKES. He is the founder and the principal of the British School of Excellence. They are changing lives all across the world. I've witnessed it myself for the last number of years. I've taken Philip's program, Train the Trainer, and it is an outstanding opportunity for you to enhance your personal and your professional skills and your career in so many ways. So we're going to be talking all about tiny little people who grow up to be big people, and how can we give them the skills that they need, the tools that they need to have etiquette and manners as youngsters. Let's welcome Mr. Philip SYKES to the program. Hello, hello.
Hello, Dr. Jacalyn. Hello to our wonderful viewers and to new viewers joining USA Global TV and Radio on the power of etiquette and manners. And it was just such a joy to have spent that week with you back in London. It seems like just yesterday, but it was a few weeks ago now. And I know you've been traveling since then to various parts of Europe and putting the peg down and expanding the reach of USA Global TV and Radio. And if I can let the cat out the bag, bringing on some new people who are going to be presenting all the way from Europe in their mother tongue, and be able to engage and expand this incredible platform, which is all about teaching and guiding and steering and inspiring people to take action in their lives. And this is what this is all about, is giving people those quintessential tools on how we can help other people and put our best foot forward.
Absolutely. Very well said, Philip. Thank you very much. And also, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, thank you for including me in the London experience. It was an amazing opportunity. We actually went on the British Pullman train. We were part of Royal Ascot Day, which is a dream come true. And then, of course, I had the opportunity to teach setting boundaries and asking permission. And we just had a beautiful afternoon tea at Fordham and Mason. I mean, I could go on and on about the week. And I know there were things that happened before the week that other people with you experienced. I wasn't in London at the time, but just really my heart is full. Thank you.
Oh, as always, such a joy to have you as part of the incredible cohort and part of the team, and your delivery of setting boundaries and asking permission was just an amazing highlight on that specific week. It really was. The takeaways were huge. And what was so special was we had an amazing array of ages in that room, Dr. Jacalyn. If you recall, we had young William, all of 17 years old, and going up to students and participants in their early to mid 60s, which is such a nice sort of spectrum, which really added huge value to the whole experience. And this is the beautiful thing about what we do as an organization, what you do, Dr. Jacalyn. We're not age specific. This is about human beings and human connection, and about building an amazing platform for people. And not only that, I was listening to such an amazing Audible. I love learning as you do, Dr. Jacalyn, and with time, poor a lot of the time. So reading a book, I often end up headbutting the book and fall asleep pretty quickly. But on my long journey yesterday while I was traveling, I downloaded a fantastic book, which was called Unreasonable Hospitality. And let me tell you, quite frankly, every person out there running a business, wanting to get ahead in life, should put that on their reading list. And what was so fantastic about that book is we as human beings have the ability to become awesome. We have the ability to step out of our comfort zone and go above and beyond. We can do same old things all day long and nothing changes and nothing changes. And we ask ourselves why, or we sit with our head in our hands and saying, poor me, why can't I get ahead? Well, the reason why we're not getting ahead is because you're not challenging yourself. You're not putting yourself out there. You're not going out there and connecting with people on a dynamic level. You're not bringing that energy into the room.
I love what you just stated, Philip, and it's really a nice follow-up to the program that we had right before this with Kim Adele Randall, and talking about that curiosity and asking questions because you want to learn more, and for you listening to Audible and reading books and bringing people together from all across the world so that we can learn about other cultures. And I know for me, part of the reason why I selected this topic today, which is Tiny Travelers, Big Matters, Teaching Kids Etiquette on the Go, is because in my travels through Europe, I witnessed some things that I want to use the word shocking, but I don't like to be judgmental. I just witnessed some things that I thought, wow, there's definitely a big discourse here between the parent and the child. And if only that parent had some tools that they could use instead of slapping the kid across the face and screaming and yelling in a public venue, or it doesn't matter. I felt really sad about what I witnessed. So I know that with the British School of Excellence, you have people from all walks of life, all ages. And I think it's important that we talk about how can parents be given tools and skills that they can use to communicate effectively with their children instead of giving them a device, instead of slapping them across the face, instead of screaming and yelling as though this is going to encourage positive behavior.
Yeah, Dr. Jacalyn, this is something that, funny enough, that Kerry, my wife, and I were talking about yesterday, just in the car, and how we as parents, we have a massive duty. You know, I can really get quite, the word's not judgmental, but bringing a child into this earth, into this world, it's not the child's choice. You know, two people go off, they have a bit of hanky-panky, next minute the partner becomes pregnant and blah, 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 child's born, and you now landed with a beautiful, gorgeous, hopefully healthy human being. And now you've got to navigate and bring this amazing little creature into the world. And it's a known fact that a child within its first 7 years of its upbringing, that is the most fundamental steering and guidance crucial guidance we can give our children. And if we get that wrong, it's very difficult to rewire and what's been put in place in an incorrect form, as opposed to trying to now reconnect and correct what was so poorly delivered in those first 7 years. And this is really, really frightening. And we as human beings, with all the beautiful tools we have out there right now, we need to lean into understanding how to bring a child into this earth, into this world, and bring it up in the most dynamic, phenomenal way.
Absolutely. I concur with you. So let's dig into the topic. First of all, traveling for adults can be very stressful. I know for myself, because I've done it for so many years, although this time and the time I came to London before was the travel experience as an entrepreneur, not as someone who had everything paid for and all the logistics were made and all the upgrades. As an entrepreneur, it's a very different experience. But for me, as a traveler, I set my expectations that things will go wrong, there will be delays, there will be noise. So I'm already expecting that. And so I think people have expectations of the opposite, that everything's going to be perfect and you paid a certain amount of money. And as a result of that, you're going to get this world-class experience. But the truth is, when you're dealing with traveling and you're dealing with planes and trains and tubes, things happen. And so you and I had something happen with an elevator briefly, and then also with the tube. The tube line was actually closed for a while, and we had to be someplace. And you thoughtfully came up with solutions, but not everyone's capable of doing that. And my point being that parents are very nerve-wracked as it is, because they're not just caring for themselves and packing for themselves, they're caring for their family. And so that puts an extra burden. And then one thing that goes wrong and the child starts complaining or asking for food or whatever the case may be, and the parent flies off the handle. So where do we start with self-care as a parent when we are going to be traveling?
Again, what a beautiful introduction into this, in the sense that, and I don't want anyone to shoot me down on this, but it's all about preparation. It really is. And just interestingly, again, something I took away from this book of Unreasonable Hospitality, the author's father, his mum became very ill during his early stages of his life. And the dad worked in hospitality. And as you and I both know, the hospitality sector, as in restaurants and hotels and food and beverage, is a very demanding career in every sense of the word. You don't have a 9-to-5 job, or very few people do in that sector. And what the author was sharing is that no matter the hours his dad had to put in, he always got up early in the morning and he had structure, and he had to follow a very clear guidance of how he's going to manage that day. In other words, how do we manage each day and do it to the best of our ability? It's through preparation. And this might sound completely, I can't prepare, I don't have time. We've all got time to prepare. We are human beings, and we've got enough tools at our fingertips to put structures in place. So have a clear structure. So in other words, this young man's father would have to bathe his wife and get her out of bed, put her in a wheelchair, give her medication, make sure she was fed for the day, and then head and get to work and drop their son at school, and then get to work on time and do the whole thing in reverse at the end of the day. But he never failed to do that, and yet he never failed within his in the role that he held within his organization. He was a senior person within the organization. So, Dr. Jacalyn, your question really is about, the answer to that, in my opinion, is preparation and planning. If you've got children, you know that a child can play up at any given time. And sometimes the child's too young to communicate. So preparation is fundamental. Have the right snacks, have the right liquid, as in water, have medication, have whatever it takes to potentially help you on that journey that you're about to take together.
Thank you, Philip. I agree with what you shared. And I think also from the things that I witnessed, it seemed to me, we were on a train, for example, and the train's quite pricey. And it was actually a lovely train. And this woman had 3 children with her. And the one child kept asking a question over and over and over again. And the mother just wouldn't answer the question. And then finally, the kids started screaming and yelling. And of course, I don't even know, as a parent in that situation, when she was going through it, if she realized all the people on the train who were being impacted by this one situation, by her child having this kind of meltdown, because everybody on the train could now no longer relax because of the screaming. And so then she got up and she started screaming at the top of her lungs, and she slapped him across the face. And so I thought to myself, at what point do you become a physical violent person that you were hitting a child? Because the child, obviously something was going on with the child. So I think with preparation and expectation that things will go wrong, and it's happening for us, is what are you prepared to do in terms of having a conversation with your child? So if your child is asking a question, what is it about this question that you don't want to answer, that you'd rather slap the child across the face?
Yeah, Dr. Jacalyn, I think if I could, and I'm making an assumption here, if we can paint a picture, I have no doubt that that mother most probably was on her social media on her phone and couldn't, and then totally disengaged from the
Yes.
kids. And with all due respect, this is the biggest travesty in our universe. It really and truly is. I appreciate we need technology, and I appreciate we need phones, but if you've got the responsibility and the privilege and the gift of 3 beautiful children, get off your phone. Get off your phone, because children learn what they live. And all a child wants is quality time with whoever they're with, i.e. a carer or a parent or whatever that might, a grandparent. So it's up to us as human beings to get off our wretched phones, and definitely don't give our phone to our child to use it as a babysitting tool, because that's even more of a travesty. It's causing, and that's a whole nother subject matter, it's causing serious attention disorders and ADHD and all these things that scientists have come up with of the repercussions of digital technology, and handing a child an iPad or a phone or anything to do with technology too early on in life. And even we as human beings, as adults, suffer from that anyway. And we weren't given these specific pieces of kit way back when. We used to go out and graze our knees and come home when we were hungry. My point is this, is that as a parent, mother or father or a carer or whatever it is, you've got to give every bit of your moment and time while you're with those children. And you've got to give undivided attention, and you've got to listen to what they might be communicating to you. You've got to feel their little bits of their little energy. You've got to watch their body language. You've got to really try and understand, to connect with that child, even if they can't communicate with you verbally, even if they can't articulate what they are trying to get out. As a parent, we need to really directly connect with them. And I know 100% that I'm privileged to have 2 beautiful daughters who one's 21 now, one's 18, and now I have an 11-year-old son. This is something that I've made a very, very clear decision in my life, is to be fully present when I'm with my children.
Philip, you are a terrific father, and I don't have any children, so I'm going to really defer and lean on you when it comes to this subject. I'd like to stay on the social media aspect for a moment. The younger generations I've seen I'm using cover because it's almost like it's a job. They cover their children professionally. It seems as though everything that the child does is on video. Everything they're doing, they're in the bathroom, they're going to school, everything is on video and put on social media as though they have their own television show of their life. And I'm wondering, when I think about some of the reality TV shows, and I'm just going to mention one of the housewives shows, a number of the people on there have been on there for 10, 15 years. And so they've grown up with a camera in their face. And so what is the implication for the children of these younger generations that everything they're doing is being filmed and subsequently put on social media?
I'm no child psychologist, but I've been around the block a few times, and I can definitely put myself in a reasonable, strong area of support and understanding and input on that. And that is monkey see, monkey do. Unfortunately, if you've had that from a young age, it's all you're going to know. How do you rewire? How do you disconnect someone from what they are just totally exposed to? It's near impossible. You'd have to put that beautiful human being on a remote island for the next X amount of years to sort of unplug them, so to speak. This is an addiction. This is something that just becomes part of your so-called life. It seems normal, and it's not normal. What is normal is having a proper childhood, going out there, playing with your friends, having more time with people that add value to your life. And it's interesting, I was doing some research the other day. As children, specifically young boys, they shouldn't be sat in a circle and having to conform to, clap handies. And boys have a lot more testosterone and adrenaline running through them than the majority of beautiful young girls. Get them out there playing, climbing trees, get them squabbling over a toy, learning how to negotiate, sharing and being kind to one another. And this is the crucial aspect of our lives, or their lives, that we need to implement and plug them in on the right journey. And, everyone, I say everyone, a lot of people want fame and fortune and these housewife programs. I mean, I know people who are addicted to this Love Island nonsense. If that's what people are watching, what do you think they're expecting? What do you think? How are people going to behave toward you? How are you going to receive? Or do you think it's now acceptable? And this is the scary thing.
It's actually terrifying. And we have a comment from LinkedIn from Stephen Painter. Stephen, thank you for being here. Stephen writes, I'm worried by the amount of screen time used by children who's actually raising the next generation. Is that the parents, or is it social media?
It's the parents. It's the parents. I mean, there was such a beautiful analogy, and thank you for coming in there, Stephen. The actor, oh, come on, Philip, in Four Weddings and a Funeral, what's his name? Come on, someone help me out here. Notting Hill Gate, Four Weddings and a Funeral. It'll come back to me, the English actor. But he was
Hugh Grant.
Yeah, Hugh Grant. And Hugh Grant made this very, very clear, Dr. Jacalyn. And I don't know if we can even get that clip up now while we're talking. I can send it to you. But what was scary about this is he was talking exactly about this. He was saying, your kid goes to school, they give him a pad. They come home from school, they shoved in front of the TV. You go to a restaurant, they shoved in front of a screen. I mean, what are we doing as parents? I mean, we are bonkers. I mean, let me tell you, I know, and there's another great podcast or analogy is that Hugh McConaughey was being interviewed by two very well-known American interviewers, and he was saying that they did not give their son Levi access to social media until he was into his mid 16 year, his 16th year, because he didn't want the world to dictate on how his son should grow up. And this is the scary thing. We as parents are to blame.
Very profound. Stephen, thank you for the question. We really do appreciate it. Okay, so I want to just offer a situation that I was part of when I was in London, when I returned to London. We actually, one of our beautiful team members come to meet me, and she brought her daughter, and her daughter is 10, and she was so well behaved. It was such a delight to be with her after coming off the train with the other situation. And I thought, what's the difference between this situation, this family dynamic, and the other? And so what I really took away from it is the woman on the train was on her phone almost the entire time, scrolling back and forth, because I could see what she was doing. And she wasn't paying attention to her children, and she had just given them something to look at. And I think they were looking at iPads, actually. And in this other situation with her own team member and friend in London, I could tell the amount of time and effort that she had put into her child's life. The child was doing all kinds of activities, and she was doing them with her. And so the beautiful girl got up and she started dancing for me. She started singing. She was just so wonderful. And I thought, what a gift that these two have. And I was able to watch their interaction, their communication. And it was so beautiful because the mother was actually very interested in what the daughter was thinking and gave her the opportunity to share each and every time without cutting her off, without saying, you be quiet now, all the things that sometimes parents will say because they get frustrated. So I really would just encourage people to find a parent-child situation that you can look at and you think, wow, that's really beautiful. And maybe ask that parent, what is it that you're doing that I'd like to learn from you? What do you think, Philip?
Oh, boom, boom, boom. Learn from people who seem to have got something right and ask questions. it's again another way in which we speak to our children. Are we telling them no all the time, or are we using words that empower them? In other words, if we embarrass a child early on in life, that's going to have a knock-on effect for that child going forward. Trust me, it will. It's the same thing as being told no all your life. And going back to your original question, Dr. Jacalyn, is there are so many wonderful moments to tap into when you see a connection between a parent and a child, and it looks so beautiful and so clear and so connected. Go up and compliment the parent first off and say, how are you doing this? What is your secret? Now, there's no real secret, but there are going to be some beautiful answers. They're going to be answers of certain things that work really, really well. Now, the other thing is this, is we also need to learn to understand our children. In other words, what is our child's love language? I know this is, people might think you're completely bonkers, but each one of us has certain elements of us, the part of us, which is known as a love language. Gary Chapman put this together many, many years ago. And every single one of us understand how to connect with one another on a more dynamic level when we appreciate and understand each other's love language. And one of the things that I know for a fact with children early on is quality time. Spend half as much money on your children and twice as much time. And when you are spending time with your child, it needs to be absolutely unhindered by anything whatsoever. The world could be coming to an end. Someone's calling you to tell you they are, I don't know, delayed. You don't need to take that call. You spending time with that beautiful person, because that's all they demand it of you. They want it.
Yes, completely true. And as you know, I'm a big advocate for setting boundaries. And I find that each and every one of us that I've spoken to wants to feel heard. We want to feel safe. We want to feel acknowledged. And so if children are able to feel this from a young age, they're going to carry that through and give that back to other people. So let's talk about how a parent can set a boundary. And let's give an example. You have a single mother. She's working and she's got all these pressures on her. And then she's got a young child at home. She's got some kind of daycare service, wherever the situation is. And then when she comes home, she's going to be cooking, she's going to be cleaning, and she's exhausted, and she still has things she needs to do for work. I mean, this is the reality of life. So in a situation like that, how can this person set a boundary that after a certain time, because the child's going to go to sleep, I'll do my work then, and maybe make the dinner time, maybe make these 2 hours, 3 hours all about the child. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm going to kick off by firstly saying that having connected with some incredible people in different roles around the world, one woman once said to me, she was CEO of a very large corporate entity. And she said to me, we were in conversation, she said, Philip, with all due respect, my day-to-day life, my role within this company, it's a big responsibility, blah, blah, blah. But my work actually starts when I get home. And she was absolutely referring to how important it is, the family, but the demand that is attached to being a mum or a dad, but more than mum. Kids are definitely in the early stages, are very much drawn to mum. And, again, that's where you've got to really switch yourself on. And so setting boundaries and putting structure into place is very, very important. And that's another great thing that you can teach a child from early on, is that there are certain structures, there's certain aspects. Now, obviously, there's got to be flexibility, because if the child's sick or stubbed their toe or needs your attention immediately, absolutely one has to throw flexibility into this. But if we can early on explain to our children, especially when they can really start to communicate back with you, is please don't interrupt me. I'm just going to finish this conversation with Dad, and then I will get back to you, or we can have a conversation. The most important thing as a parent is to acknowledge our children. if they're going, mummy, it's just that horrible example, or you gave a good example, but the horrible impact that it had on that child, the child's been saying to mum, whatever, it's badgering them, his mother, and next minute she loses it. She's allowing her mood to dictate her manners, and she responds in giving the kid a smack across the face. Now, if she had have A, been present, B, had have acknowledged that child and said, I'm just busy reading this article, I will answer, whatever it might be, as long as the child feels they have been heard and that they've been connected with, and then we start to have a better understanding and connection with our children. And this is a process. It's a process. It doesn't happen, boom. It's got to be delivered over a period of time. It's a structure. It's a habit that you start to create and instill.
And by the way, Philip, what you just referenced is the same thing that we as adults want. We want to be acknowledged. And it's even when we are doing TV shows, on this platform, I have asked all of the TV show hosts to acknowledge what the guest is saying. Don't just skim over it and go on to another topic. So I think it makes sense that from an early age that we want the same thing. And I also think what might make sense, if specifically for traveling, and this could be applied to the other experiences, is let the child know what to expect. We're going to be going on a plane. That means we're getting in a car and we're driving X amount of time. We're going to an airport. The airport's going to be very busy. And I want to make sure you stay next to me. And it's going to be loud. And then, explain before the fact, instead of you hear the endless, are we almost there? Are we almost there? Are we almost there? And make sure that the child acknowledges what you're saying. Do you understand what I'm saying? What questions do you have? So that you can have a conversation, because at the center of everything is emotion. And that woman I referenced on the train was highly emotional for many reasons. And as you know, we were just in London, and there's not air conditioning in most places. When you are uncomfortable physically, you can become very emotional. And if you don't realize it and have the skill set to get yourself in check with the 6-second pause, it could be a 10-minute pause, it could be I need an hour pause, to get yourself in check, you're going to take that volatility, that emotion, and you're going to pass it on to your children or whomever else you're having a conversation with.
Completely. I love that. And again, let's dig a bit deeper into that. Again, one doesn't know what that parent might have, how that the day for that parent has started. Maybe she had a bit of an angry word with her partner, and that's now niggling at her, or for the sake, it could be a father who's taking care of the kids. But in this, let's use the example you've shared with us. We don't know what's behind the whole trigger, and maybe it gets to a sense where something is not correct in the relationship. That particular mother feels the onus is all on her shoulders. The husband doesn't play his part in it. There could be so many factors that have triggered that individual. But going back to what you were sharing and suggesting and saying, it is about preparation and literally explaining to your children, especially if you've got 3 children, that you've got to get your ducks in a row and prepare them for that specific journey. And, again, this is a reality, is how was that mother brought up? How was that mother brought up? Was she also slapped across the face because she put a foot out of line, or she yelled or was badgering the parent, and so she got a crack? This is a scary thing about monkey see, monkey do. And, as parents, it's a big, big, big responsibility. It's the biggest responsibility that you can be beholden to. It's more important than anything else. And if you decide to have children, then you, in my opinion, ought to have some form of coaching and training about being a good parent and how to parent in the correct manner, and how to incorporate and instill elements of patience using tools. As the world has become a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's more fast paced now. That's for damn sure. I know time hasn't moved on faster, but as we get older, it feels like it has. I can't believe we're on our way towards Christmas. But that aside, my point is that there are so many tools at our fingertips now that we can learn from, and we can take time to go out there and really educate ourselves. And this is what I was sharing at the beginning of the start of today's program, is we have the ability to educate ourselves at any given time. So when we have a few moments, whether it's a walk on the beach, whether it's driving in the car, whether it's, reading a page or two before you shut your eyes, you've got to make an effort and push yourself out of your comfort zone. And you've got to put the pressure on yourself to move forward, get used to the feeling of feeling uncomfortable.
That's where the growth is. That's where I like to be. And Philip, I have one last question before we close out today, and it's a big one. So I'm just going to state that it's a big one, and we might have to revisit it later. What are your thoughts as a parent, as a trainer, as a coach about treating your child as your friend? I've seen this a number of times where the parent actually talks to the child, shares things with the child as though they were best friends instead of having that parent-child role. What do you think?
This goes back to your boundaries. As a parent, you obviously want them to love you and like you. Again, if you are doing the right thing as a parent, a child will always lean into you and love you and want to very much show you that they are, that they are very much in your life. But there needs to be boundaries, Dr. Jacalyn. With all due respect, my son Harley, there are boundaries, and there are times when I've got to explain to him that this is the way things are going to work, and this is how we're going to deliver. So now it's time for your homework. Now, there needs to be very clear in guidance and steering. And as we get older and our children become, into their 20s and go off and find their own sort of rhythm and path in life, that's when maybe that sort of the parent-child aspect will never disappear, but there becomes obviously maybe a slightly different angle there. But while we're bringing our beautiful children up and giving them the best guidance and steering we possibly can, there is a fine line there. And any parent out there who's trying to be a friend, we're obviously friendly, and maybe the friend's not the right word, but I hear exactly where you're coming from. I'm strong and I stand hard on this one, is we need to guide and steer. We are shepherds, and we need to guide and steer our children to the best of our ability. And we've got to give them the best opportunity going forward. And, as I say, sometimes it's harsh love, and sometimes you're not going to be the flavor of the day or the week as a parent. And that's okay. That's okay.
To your point earlier in the show, it's the most important role a person can ever have, because you are shaping the life, you're shaping the foundation of another human being. And what you're doing at the British School of Excellence in terms of bringing that education and that awareness to not just the parents, but also to the children. I know you have all kinds of programs to help people of all ages. And as you mentioned, when we were just at the London experience, there were all age ranges. And I just love that. I love when people are truly interested in personal and professional development. And I know you had a beautiful married couple who spend a significant amount of time. Instead of a vacation, they want it to be a learning experience. And I thought, isn't that beautiful? I don't think I've actually heard that before, that instead of worrying or thinking, I'm going to go to a beach, I'm going to go somewhere and get education to make my life even more fulfilling than it is.
It's phenomenal. It really is. And I think that's where we coined a phrase. Instead of vacation, you could do an education. In vacation, play on words, but let's go and do an education. And I think that is such an amazing journey. Mix up a bit of vacation and education, and you can take away so much. And just on that note, I mean, I had the most wonderful letter from the youngster in the room, from the 17-year-old. It's a 2-page letter of the profound impact that week had on him. And then I had a follow-up message from his mum, just saying this was the most incredible, life-changing experience for me, but for her son, it was just absolutely extraordinary. And I had the privilege to spend some quality time one-on-one with that youngster. And I tell you what, it's all about giving undivided attention. There were no phones involved. It was proper communication, connecting, listening, engaging, reiterating, and really making an effort to build something very, very, very powerful, very, very powerful.
Thank you, Philip. What are the next opportunities that people have where they can participate and train the trainer, or possibly a retreat that's coming up, or the London experience? We're going to pull up your website, but can you speak to that, please?
No. I tell you what, before we do that, while we're on this topic, I'd love to recite a poem that I think is so true to what we are focusing on this specific program. And it's by an amazing woman by the name of Dorothy Law Nolte. And she really is, she's really put this into perspective, and it's called Children Learn What They Live. And it starts with, if a child lives with criticism, he learns to condemn. If a child lives with hostility, he learns to fight. If a child lives with fear, he learns to be apprehensive. If a child lives with pity, he learns to feel sorry for himself. If a child lives with ridicule, he learns to be shy. If a child lives with jealousy, he learns what envy is. If a child lives with shame, he learns to feel guilty. If a child lives with encouragement, he learns to be confident. If a child lives with tolerance, he learns to be patient. If a child lives with praise, he learns to be appreciative. If a child lives with acceptance, he learns to love. If a child lives with approval, he learns to like himself. If a child lives with recognition, he learns that it's good to have a goal. If a child lives with sharing, he learns about generosity. If a child lives with honesty and fairness, he learns what truth and justice are. If a child lives with security, he learns to have faith in himself and those about him. If a child lives with friendliness, he learns that the world is a nice place in which to live. He learns to love. And then if we live with serenity, our children will live with peace of mind. And that for me really hits straight into the heart of any vein. And it is so beautifully put. And I truly believe from the deep down in my heart and deep down in my whole being that every single parent should be gifted one of these poems when a child is born. And it should be plastered over the kitchen fridge. It should be plastered on the mirror where the father shaves and the wife does their makeup. It should be a screensaver, because I tell you right now, I truly believe that we would bring up kids in such a more dynamic way in this very, very fast changing world.
Philip, that was so powerful. I actually have chills. Like, wow. And the way I love the way that you read that too, because your voice changed as you got to the positive actions. So I'd love to have you maybe drop it into the comments where people can find that poem, if it's possible.
Absolutely, I'll be able to do that. It's an amazing poem, and I really urge anyone out there to look it up. It's by Dorothy Law Nolte, and it's called Children Learn. If I can send this to you, I'll send you. I'll send you the. How are you able? Sorry, I've got a frog in my throat. Just bear with me for a second, Dr. Jacalyn.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to bring up your website for the moment. Let's take a look at that. So we're going to look at the British School of Excellence website, and this in and of itself is a powerful tool. So if you are interested in learning more about how to have a life filled with peace, I highly encourage you, wherever you are in the world, to come to this website, the BritishSchoolOfExcellence.com, and to take action. I have been privileged to meet so many people who have walked through the British School of Excellence doors, and every one of them is about finding inner peace. It's about being kind, being respectful. It's about paying it forward. So when you come to this website, you're going to learn a lot about some upcoming programs. You can see right here, there's a program coming in September, in November, and then also another one coming soon. But it's the Train the Trainer and Train the Trainer Live. And I know Philip is going to speak to these upcoming programs. Let's see if he's back with us. Philip, are you there?
I'm right here. Yes. So Train the Trainer in September will be live online through Zoom, and it's a very, very powerful medium to connect with. It's 5 intense days where you will walk away coming in as one person and leaving as a completely different person. That is going to be in September. Then we are running our first Train the Trainer live in person in the United States of America, North Florida, Jacksonville area. It's going to be outstanding right across the board. There's going to be some wonderful added on experiences attached to the coaching and training. It's not just going to be coaching and training. There are going to be some wonderful little add-ons and nice little pampering moments and things like that. And then August is a month in the United Kingdom where we are running various courses. You just need to go to our website. I will personally be available during the month of August to deliver one-on-one coaching in person. If anyone desires or would like to spend time with me, I will give you everything and more in and during those coaching sessions. So that's August. And then, as I said, November, we've got live here in the United States of America. And we've obviously got other courses. And for anyone who wants to test the temperature of the water at what we deliver and offer, we have the most incredible e-learning platform where the value of each program is a low barrier to entry, and you can really gain so much from the material that we have put together in an e-learning capacity. So that's really what I have to share. Next year, 2026, we're already planning Train the Trainer live in London in June. And on top of that will be the wonderful London experience, which will be different to the London experience that we delivered this year. And we'll have some wonderful, amazing treats lined up for you with really some hidden deep dives into the so-called back streets of London, which the average person wouldn't know about and would not get access to.
Very exciting times, Philip. Thank you for sharing that. I know that you've got a hard stop today. So how do people get in touch with you, and who would you like to contact you?
Well, just reach out to us through the BritishSchoolOfExcellence.com website. We've got WhatsApp numbers there. We've got a chat bot. hello@thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. And please do make contact. No harm in having a chat and booking a call.
Thank you, Philip. Before you go, I'd love to just have you share a little bit about Bay London. We're going to be running a Bay London spot right now. What is Bay London, and who's the creator, and who's Bay London for?
Well, I'm very proud to say I have an amazing, wonderful, talented wife who has been in the who's basically a lingerie design and specialist, and had her own organization based out of London for 25 years, designing and manufacturing under the label of all the other big brands out there. So she was their go-to person, and her company was. And she decided to put that to bed last year and focus predominantly now on creating the most incredible, exquisite swimwear for women who really understand quality, but not only quality, but understand how important it is to feel confident and look good in their bathing suits, in their swimwear. And this is an amazing brand. It stands for Be All You Envisage, Bay London. And it's not only focusing on swimwear and beach resort wear. There are going to be some wonderful lifestyle garments produced in the near future, and that's a watch this space. But right now, Bay London initial focus is on gorgeous swimwear and beach resort wear.
All right, Philip, we're going to take a look at Bay London. I want to thank you for being here today. It's always a pleasure. And I know that you are out in the world creating more beautiful things and opportunities for people to get personal and professional development. And so I just wish you a beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. So wonderful to see you, and we'll be in touch over the weekend.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Let's go over to Bay London now, and please do reach out to Philip and also to his beautiful wife for this swimwear. Let's take a look.
In a world that moves fast, there's strength in the woman who moves with grace. Introducing Bay London, where confidence meets craftsmanship. Each piece is intentionally designed for the woman who knows her worth, crafted from luxurious Italian eco-fabrics that feel as good as they look. With elegant coverage, effortless support, and timeless style, our swimwear celebrates both your body and your essence. Founded by fashion expert SYKES, Bay London is made for women who want to feel sexy, stylish, and seen. From poolside to beachside, sunrise to sunset, Bay London outfits you for every moment that matters. Because beauty isn't about age, it's how you wear your confidence. Bay London, confidence, elegance, effortless luxury. Visit baylondon.com. Act now for your exclusive friends and family discount of $35. Scan the QR code. Bay London, where confidence meets craftsmanship. Proud sponsor of USA Global TV and Radio.
Ever dreamed of hosting your own TV show, sharing your story with a global audience? Now's your chance to shine. At USA Global TV and Radio, we make it easy for you to create, host and broadcast your very own TV show. Whether you're a storyteller, entrepreneur or industry expert, we help you bring your vision to life. With our exclusive interview, live streaming and podcasting training, you'll gain the skills and confidence to captivate your audience. Our global platform ensures your voice is heard worldwide. Join our community of creators who are already making an impact, one show at a time. Step into the spotlight. Host your own TV show on USA Global TV and Radio. Book your discovery call today at usaglobaltv.com. Copyright 2025 USA Global TV and Radio. All rights reserved. Terms and conditions apply. To learn more, visit usaglobaltv.com. Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honored to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA-Global-TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting. We're building bridges and changing lives, one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.